Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please take your seats, I'd like to welcome you to the Northeast Neighborhood Alliance meeting. And to kick off the meeting tonight, we'll start with the presentation of the flags by our Scout Troops 398 and 3982. Please begin. Will everyone stand?
Color guard, attention. Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, hold. Color guard, prepare to post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, return to post. Color guard, hold. Color guard Smith, audience, please take your seats.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. We're having microphone difficulty this evening, so I ask that all of our speakers, and we have a bunch of them tonight, will speak clearly and distinctly and loud into this microphone, okay? I need to change my batteries. Our first presentation will be by our city manager, Eric Walsh, and I know he's got some very interesting things to say about our next budget. Eric?
There he is, walking in.
All right. I'm sorry for running late. We're dealing with an issue here, so I'm not going to be here very long. But Maria Villagomez, our deputy city manager, is here, and we've got plenty of staff. I'm going to walk through this presentation. I know most of you are probably used to seeing us at the end of the summer. We're doing something a little bit different. Don't worry, we'll be back at the end of summer. But we changed our budget process up a little bit to allow for more feedback on the front end of our process. So tonight's an opportunity for you to give us some feedback. The council's here tonight. We're doing this all over the city. We will be back later on in the summer after we propose the budget. So who's controlling this? So what we did a little bit differently was that we had the council policy setting, goal setting session in April this year. And for those of you that follow the exciting budget timeline for the city annually, you'll think that that bulk goal setting session usually happens at the end of June, right now, or the middle of June. We moved it up to April, and I'll talk a little bit about what the council's priorities were. We did our 5-year financial forecast and presented to the council a trial budget that had a lot of what the council talked about was a priority as a group, what the council talked about. We're doing community input, that's tonight. We've started in May. We've got a couple of more districts to go through, and then I'll talk about our budget survey, which we have information on here or here at the meeting. That budget survey closes on July 8th. It's a very, very simple budget survey. If you've taken it in the past, it's straight to the point, and it'll take you 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. We'll be back in August, after we work on the budget in July, present it to the council on August 11th, and we'll be back out into the districts. And then the council is scheduled to adopt it on September 15th. So I won't spend a lot of time on this. You guys have seen this slide before, but it's our total budget this year in FY 2022. The biggest part of that is our general fund, obviously, that funds all of our basic operations. Is where we collect all of our general revenue, like property tax and sales tax, and our return on ownership of CPS. Our capital program will look a little bit larger as we go into fiscal year 23 because the voters approved the 2022 bond program. Just a little bit larger because most of the projects that got approved by the voters will be focused on design only in years 1 and 2, 23 and 24, and then construction heavy in 25, 26, and 27. So here were the council priorities as we came out of April as a group that we prepared the trial budget on, and that we're using as a basis for the proposed budget. One, property tax relief, and I've got a slide on here in a little bit. The council took a number of actions 2 weeks ago to put these measures in place. Unlike our fiscal year, if the council was to make any changes and exemptions, it has to be done before July 1st to go into effect in the next tax year. So they've taken those steps already, and I'll show you that on the slide. Infrastructure, right? Something that's always at the top of everybody's list. But not only the streets, but pedestrian safety, sidewalks in those areas. We are going to be evaluating potentially increasing our stormwater rate. We'll evaluate that in 2023 and come back to the council next summer with some options. But we'll only do it if that rate goes towards additional drainage projects and low water crossings in the city. That was a priority that was identified in the bond program. The bond program had about $172 million worth of drainage projects that the voters approved. We have on file something we call our hazard mitigation plan, which the federal government requires every city and county to update every 5 years. And can anybody guess what the #1 hazard is in San Antonio in our hazard mitigation plan?
Flooding?
Flooding and low water crossings. We have identified $664 million worth of projects that need to be done. So the bond took care of 172, and we'll evaluate as we go into the next year, over the next year, whether or not it makes sense to make an adjustment in the stormwater rate so that we can do more drainage projects. So that's work to come. Public safety was a top priority. Affordable housing and our public health plan that was adopted by the council last year, and then civilian compensation and market adjustments. And I can talk a little bit about that. There's a lot of things that I probably worry a little about, and I really don't have any trouble going to sleep at night. I'm fortunate in that sense, but the one thing that does keep me up is making sure we have our positions filled. Because we're touching every house twice a week to pick up garbage and recycling. We got street crews, we have parks maintenance, and so making sure that we are keeping up with that. We are in competition with every other employer in this city with our 6,900 civilians that do a variety of work. The airport, obviously, the 911 system, so making sure that we're staffed up and ready to go. So the forecast, and gosh, watch the news, it changes daily. Is there a recession coming? Who knows? Some people say 12 months, some people say 18 months. But obviously the economy over the last 2.5 years has been something that no one